Good evening, everybody, and a very, very big welcome to you tonight. And I hope you're going to enjoy this evening. This is something that I have been enjoying learning about and actually training about for years. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to say, but this PowerPoint is many, 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 many years old. I didn't have time to update it, but the information is the same, right? It's relevant information for everybody here. So if you do not know about the personality types, and I can see that the words have chopped off there a little bit in my banner, but we have 4 predominant personality types, and there are lots of different things, like people use colors and animals and jewels and everything. So these are actually the original ones from Socrates. So how do you say that again? Hippocrates. So he was known as the father of medicine, way, way back over 400 years BC. And he proposed that we are one of 4 different personality types, or a combination of 2 predominantly of the 4 types. So if you are not familiar yet, if you've not heard the terms sanguine, which we often refer to as a blue, and they're the real extrovert people, the popular people, or cholerics, which we refer to as the red, or the extroverts or the powerful people. We have the melancholies, who are the more introvert people, but who love everything to be perfect. And we have the phlegmatics, or the yellows, who are the introverts or the more peaceful people. Now, you might have already figured out just by those headings where you might sit. So on your piece of paper, I would love you to have a few columns, and I would love you to write your name on there. If you've got a partner, your partner's name. If you've got more grown-up children, or even younger children, your children's names. So people who are important to you in your life, and maybe just start ticking off, are they red, blue, green, or yellow as we go, and you'll get a fuller picture of that as we do go. And the reason that we share this as a business training is it's actually really, really important to not only understand our own personality temperament, but also to understand when we're speaking to people. So for example, if you're speaking to a sanguine or a blue, they're quite extrovert and they're quite loud and bubbly, and they're out there sort of people. So if you're communicating with them, you want to communicate in their language. If you are communicating in business or even in pleasure with a red or a choleric, they're also a little bit extrovert, not as much as the blue, the sanguine, but they've got more of a powerful sort of feel to them. They're the leaders and the go-getters and the shakers and movers. And then, so if you're communicating with the choleric, you really want to get to the point. Don't waffle on like you would to a blue. Just get to the point when you're sharing information, or giving information out. Just don't waffle on. Just get the information to them and allow them to check it out. Now, if you are a green or a melancholy, these are the people who are more introvert, but they love perfection and they love detail. So these are the people who you will send the scientific research to, naturopath Nathan's videos to, because he is also very green. These are the people who like the detail, the detail, the detail. And then you have the phlegmatic yellows. So the yellows are the really beautiful, introvert, peaceful people. So they're kind of, pretty laid back, easygoing. They don't want too much detail. They don't like the hype. They don't like sort of the abruptness of the red or the choleric, but they're just kind of the laid back, easygoing, really nice people. So let's go through them in a little bit more detail. And I've got some props tonight for effect. So we're going to start talking about the blue. So I have my blue scarf. So we're going to talk about the blues. Now, I'd also like you to guess my predominant 2 personality traits. If you don't know me very well, I'd love you to guess by the time we're finished what I am. If you know me well enough, you'll already know that. So the sanguines, their pattern of behavior is more open and direct. They love relationships and interacting. They're very fast-paced and spontaneous. They don't always think about what they're about to say or do. And they're predominantly right-brained, and they tend to be the really creative people, the people who love art and just, very creative, musical, creative people. Now, they are about 15% of the population. So not a huge amount of the population are blues, but about 15%, they say. Now, we have with the blues, their emotions are that they're very appealing, have a very appealing personality. So they're very likable, they're very fun, they're talkative, they're good storytellers. And you know, in any sales and marketing, guys, facts tell, but stories sell. So the Greens think they've got to give all the facts out, but really stories often tell. And we know that, don't we, from our Facebook page with all of the testimonials and all the stories. It's the stories, the pictures, the results people are having in this that sell. And they're the life of the party. They're the people who love a good time. They'll get up on the dance floor. You know, they're the storytellers, the people who just have a really bright disposition. They usually have a really good sense of humor. They can be flirtatious, which can get them into trouble sometimes. They can be funny and playful. And they're usually pretty optimistic and enthusiastic. And they're also really good on stage. So they like getting up on stage. They like being in front of people. They like being the center of attention. Now, their weaknesses, and we do all have strengths and weaknesses. So their weaknesses are that they can be compulsive talkers. No way. Compulsive talkers. And they sometimes can tend to talk before they think. Foot in mouth disease quite a lot. The sanguines or the blues love to exaggerate and elaborate. So if they caught a fish this big when they're telling the story, it's going to be this big, right? So sometimes they can exaggerate things to the point where they're like, I'm not quite sure about that story. They often forget names, so they can't remember names. And for some people, particularly for the Greens, they find the blue personalities or the sanguines too happy, like they don't like their happy disposition, other people. They can be egotistical, like it's all about me, 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 me. And they often have a loud voice and laugh. So if you're in a party and there's a blue across the other side of the room, you will hear them laughing, you'll hear their voice, you'll probably hear their story in the background because they're demanding that attention. Now, their strengths are that when it comes to work, they love to volunteer for things. So they like to be involved in things. They like to think up new activities. One of the challenges is that they don't, sorry, where am I up to? I'm on the wrong page now. Their strength, sorry, I'm on two different pages here, excuse me. They love to think up new activities. They're very creative and colourful. So when you see a sanguine dressed, they usually like to wear bright colours, big jewellery, you know, blingy stuff, bright stuff. They like to stand out. They have a lot of energy and enthusiasm. They inspire others to join in. So if there's something going on, the blue will go, come on, let's have fun. You know, come and join in, come and dance, come and join in the activities. They are excellent promoters. So if you have a blue in your business, they are the ones who are really good promoters. They will promote things. And they're very motivating just because of, you know, their bright disposition. So who's already starting to figure out that maybe they're blue or somebody they know is blue? Now, when it comes to weaknesses, they would rather talk than listen. And, you know, we have one mouth and two ears, but the sanguines and the blues sometimes forget that. They forget obligations. They can forget appointments, be late for appointments, for example, and they don't always follow through on things. They can be very disorganized and their confidence can fade fast. So sometimes in business, if you have a real blue join your team and they're, yeah, I'm really confident, I'm really enthusiastic, I'm going to do this, you know, I'm really into this. And then they have a few no's or people, you know, aren't interested, then they lose their confidence pretty fast. So you've got to keep them motivated. They can be undisciplined and sometimes quite easily distracted, and they can waste time talking. So generally speaking, they are generally speaking. So the sanguines are the ones who are always talking and often not listening well enough. Now, when it comes to friends, there's a lot of strengths in the blues and the sanguines because they make friends really easily. So once again, in business, like if you're out and about and you're just meeting people or you're down the street shopping, a blue will go up and speak to somebody about, hey, you're interested in fat loss, or I've got this great business. Like the blues will just talk to anybody, right? Whereas the others will be a bit embarrassed, but the blues love talking and interacting with people. They just love people in general. They thrive on compliments, so give the blues lots of compliments, not only physical compliments, but just compliments about their personality and the way they do things. They love that. And they sometimes can be envied by others because the other personalities are envious of their bright disposition, their sense of confidence in talking to people, etc. They like spontaneous activities. So they don't like planning a lot of stuff, but they just love spontaneous stuff. Hey, let's go out to such and so, and yeah, let's go. And they're the life of the party. They love to socialize. Now, when it comes to friends and more of the weaknesses, they dislike being alone because they want people around them all the time. They need to be center stage. So if you've got a sanguine or a blue in your team, help make them center stage. Really acknowledge them and recognize them for things they're doing, even the little things, because they really need that encouragement and they really need to be seen and they want to be popular. Now, sometimes they really dominate the conversations, which is not pleasant and can be really challenging. I know I've had some real blues in my team that I've had to word up prior. Listen, don't interrupt. Like if we're doing a three-way call or something for the business, introduce me, shush, don't speak until you're asked to speak because they're so enthusiastic. They want to just come in and jump in. So if you're that blue and you're doing a call with a support person, please let your support person do the talking and you wait until you've been asked to speak because we're so enthusiastic. We want to tell them all the benefits and all the stuff. So, and the blues tend to really dominate the conversation. And one of the biggest challenges of the blues is they interrupt and they don't listen. Excuse me. And often they answer for others, which is not fun, right? And they repeat stories and they go off on all these different tangents in the same 5-minute conversation. So sometimes they can be very challenging, although lovable. So in summary, excuse me, the blues like to have fun. Their attitude is, if it's not fun, why do it? So if you're introducing a blue to this business and you make it sound boring and like full of facts and details, and they've got to learn the compensation plan and they've got to learn how the numbers work and they've got to learn all the science, they are not going to be interested because it's too much detail for them. They like to get more of the big picture rather than the technical detail. So once again, if you identify somebody as a blue that you're wanting to share the business with, remember, go big picture, not the technical details. They like excitement and they like to dream. So you can do a lot of dream building with them. If you were to earn $10,000 extra a month, what would that do for you? How would that impact and change your life? You know, you can ask them those sorts of questions. Now, their dislikes are anything that is boring, and they don't like all the technical detail or logical stuff. So for anybody on the call, let me know if you know Nathan, if you've met my son Nathan. He is agreeing, absolutely, and he loves all the logical stuff. And if you haven't figured out yet, my predominant personality is blue, right? I do not like the technical stuff. I don't know if Vesna's on the call tonight, but I had a training with Vesna or a meeting with Vesna today, and she had a pile of questions. And here I am, just gone royal diamond in the business, right? And she had all these questions about the marketing plan. I'm like, I'm not sure about that one. What's next? What's the next question? Oh, yeah, I'm not sure about that one either. And she's like, you're a royal diamond and you don't even get this stuff. I go, no, I just get out there and make it happen. I don't need to know the details. I'll learn them eventually, but I don't need to know the details. That stuff bogs me down. I just love talking to the people, helping the people, but not getting bogged down in the details. So they don't like people taking away their fun. So if you are married perhaps to a blue and you're not a blue, remember they love to have fun. So don't take that away from them. So their occupation is generally in the entertainment industry, actors, sales people, speakers, and networking. So of course, this is the perfect business for a blue. Sales, speaking networking. They're excited by action and feeling free and creative. And their fear is not being liked. So they love to be liked. They love and strive for recognition and applause. And they love spontaneous, and they're based on feelings once again. So talk about how that makes you feel. How would that make you feel if you could release that body fat? How would that make you feel if you could help your friends and family with this? How would that make you feel if you could earn another $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month? Talk about it in that way. Oh, who's drawing on my screen? Now, if you were looking at an animal, they would be like a monkey, really playful and enthusiastic, or a peacock, colourful and show off, or a dolphin, delightful and charming. I have no idea how somebody has scribbled on my screen there. Kirsten, if you know how to get rid of that in the background, feel free. I don't even know how it happened. See, there you go. I don't know the details. I don't know how to, hang on, draw. How has that happened? Clear. Is there a rubber? No, see, I don't know how to figure it out. Kirsten might figure it out because Kirsten, my beautiful friend, is a lot more into detail than I am. Now I'm just making, oops, more of a mess. Is that somebody scribbling on my screen? Is that what's happening, Kirsten?
I'm not sure what's going on there. Is it you? You're not moving your mouse, are you? I'll see what I can do, see if I can clean it up.
Yeah, I don't know. So when it comes to geometric shapes, for example, they would be like a squiggle because it's hard for them to stay still. They love to be noticed and admired. They want to be fun and network, and they want you to be fun and exciting as well if you're talking to them or working with them. Their speciality is networking, and they become depressed if the fun is taken out of their lives. And if you're writing to them, so if you're sending them information, be dramatic but informal. And if you're on the phone to them, have lots of energy and be playful with them. So just in summary there, they're motivated by fun and being part of the chase. Save them the monotonous effort. So if you've got a blue in your team, you might have to help get the information to them because, oh no, it's just too hard to find. Where's the Zoom link? I can't find it. Like you might have to help them with all of that sort of stuff. And their motto is, let me tell you a story. Then after that, I'll tell you another one. Okay, so that is the blue. So I'm going to change scarves now. So you can see I like to have fun. So I'm a blue, right? So we go from the blue scarf to the red scarf. Lucky I have lots of scarves, right? So who identified, pop in the chat, who identified that they have some blue in them? Pop in the chat box and let me know if you are a blue. Any blues on the call? Me. Awesome. Love you. Thank you, blues. I am obviously a blue. I am a blue combined with another color. Now, what you'll find as we go through this is that we are usually a combination of two colors predominantly. So we'll have a predominant color and then we'll have a secondary color, or we could be a bit halfy-halfy. Some people are a little bit of everything maybe, but we usually have a dominant one. Beck's got no blue here. So there you go. Beck will have to try and figure out what you are. Okay, so let's go for the cholerics or the reds. So their pattern of behavior is they're very self-contained and direct. Their priority is tasks and facts. They love a fast and decisive pace. No mucking around, no, dilly-dallying, just get to the point, right? Get to the point. Don't try and do a 50-minute presentation telling them about fix. Just get to the point with them. And they're usually more left brain, but they also do a decent job of tapping into their right brain. And once again, they are about 15% of the personality. So the blues are 15% and the reds are 15%. So their strengths are that they're born leaders. And of course, we're wanting to attract into the business born leaders. They're powerful, dynamic, and active. They have a compulsive need for change. So they don't like things to just be the same all the time. They like to be challenged. They're quite strong-willed and decisive. So once they're if you get a red into your business and they've made up their mind, usually that's a really good sign. They've made up their mind and it's something, yes, I'm going to do this. Sometimes the reds can fluff themselves up a bit too and say, I'm going to be awesome at this, and they're not necessarily always. So they're strong-willed and decisive. They can be independent and really self-sufficient. So when you get a red on your team, they will just get stuff done. Okay, they're the people who will figure it out for themselves and get stuff done. And they're risk takers and they thrive on opposition. So once again, a really good person to have in your team. Now, their weaknesses are they can be bossy and impatient. We don't like bossy people or impatient people, but they can be. They can be quick-tempered. Sometimes they can't relax or they're too impetuous. And sometimes they enjoy a good argument or a controversy, right? And they can come across sometimes as being unsympathetic. It doesn't mean that they are, but they can just come across that way. They also love a good argument and they call it a good debate, right? And they're usually stubborn and unteachable because they feel they know it all. So if you have a red come into your business and, you know, they're sort of coming across as, well, I already know all of this type of thing, you know, you'll know that that's a red personality. They think they know it all, even sometimes when they don't. So their strengths are that they're goal orientated, which is, of course, really good in this sort of business. And they see the whole picture. So they see the big picture of where the company's going, where the product's going, how it's going to help them, how it's going to be big, and, you know, how it's going to impact a lot of people. So they get the big picture. They see practical solutions for things. They don't focus on the small stuff. They just get on with the, you know, and seeing the big picture. They often delegate work and they insist on production. So because they're really productive, they want everybody else to be productive. So if you are a red personality in this business, remember we are all independent reps here. We are not your employees. So don't boss people around if you're a red, right? and they often like to juggle a lot of tasks at once. They're independent and self-sufficient, which is really, really good. Now, their weaknesses are that they have little tolerance for mistakes, and often they're really hard on themselves as well if they make mistakes themselves, but they're also intolerant of others making mistakes. So that can be a real challenge if you're dealing with a red. Sometimes they can make really rash decisions, and that can be good sometimes because they might go, yes, I'm doing this. They just make a quick decision. They don't have to do 15 hours of research before they make a decision to join you in your business. They just make a quick decision on the spot. But sometimes they can also be a little bit rude and tactless. And they can sometimes manipulate people and be demanding of others as well. And work may become their God. So it's all about work, 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 work. And they can demand loyalty in the ranks, which once again, if you are a team member, if you have people in your team and you're a red, remember not everybody is like you. Not everybody wants to work at the pace you have to work at. So particularly if you are a strong red, you need to look at the people in your team. Look at the yellows who are the quiet, passive people. Look at the blues who love fun. Look at the greens who are probably a little bit more like you, who love the detail as well. And sometimes they forget people have feelings and they don't listen very well. So their weaknesses are not making them sound too good, are they? Okay, some people have identified, I'm a blue red. Red here, haha. Stubborn, that's me. Bit of a red and blue. Okay, fantastic. Good that people are identifying. And are you identifying your loved ones, your partner, your children, some of your team members? Are you starting to figure out, who in your team is red, who in your team is blue? Now, when it comes to friends, the real reds have little need for friends. They just don't need a lot of friends around them because they just go and get stuff done themselves. But they will lead and organize really well. And they think they're usually right, and they'll argue that to the death sometimes, right? That they have to be right. But these are the people that you maybe want to be with in an emergency, because these are the people who just get things done, excel in emergencies, etc. Whoops. Now, when it comes to friends, they can tend to use people and dominate others, which once again, if you are a strong red, remember in this business or in life in general, that's not a pleasant thing to do to others. And sometimes because they just make a decision quickly, they want to decide for others. They don't necessarily allow the other person to take the time that they need to make their own decision. And they think they know everything and they think they can do everything better, which can be challenging sometimes. And sometimes they can be too independent, right? They just want to go and do it themselves. But sometimes, even if you're a real red, right, you still have to learn stuff. You still have to find out the right way to do stuff. It's great to be independent, but you still need to make sure you're going on the right track. And sometimes the reds can't say they're sorry. Like it's really hard, but really hard for them to say, I'm sorry. And sometimes they may be right, but they may also be unpopular, which is also not a good thing, right? Now, in summary, the reds like a challenge and they like doing things that will make them money. So who is a good person to get into this business? A red, right? Somebody who likes to get stuff done and who likes to make money. So the reds can go really well with the blues. And I'm saying that because, of course, I'm a blue red or a red blue, depending on what day it is. So the reds have got the kind of the go-getter attitude, but they've also got the people skills. So they're good with the people and they're also go-getters and like to get stuff done. Telling people about their credentials and how important they are. So the real reds just like to talk about themselves a lot. They like to, say all the things that they're good at and all of the things they've done. And they really, it's all about them, very egocentrical. And sometimes the reds work best under stress and they like being in charge. So once again, if you are not a red, but you have a red in your team, remember these things. So the reds like to be in charge. So maybe allow them the opportunity to be in charge of things. And they really dislike small talk. So if you're a blue and you're talking to a red, remember the reds do not like the real waffly small talk stuff that us blues love. So I guess because I'm a combination of both, I know the limits of the blue and the red, but yeah, not too much small talk with the reds. They really dislike being behind and wasting time, and they dislike missing out on anything because they want to be on top of everything. And crying is absolutely prohibited in public, according to the reds. Okay, so the types of occupations that reds are, they're top level executives, military leaders, producers, builders. They're excited by action, action, action. Their fears are being hustled or being soft or being seen to be soft, right? Who's seeing themselves as red here? We've got a few takers for red. They love results and productivity, which once again is really good in business and particularly in this type of business. They make really quick and decisive decisions, which once again is great. If you're talking to somebody with a red personality, they're going to make a decision quickly and it might be a quick yes, or it might also be a quick no. Now, when it comes to animals, they're like the lion, the king of the jungle, or the eagle, and you don't find them in packs. They're very goal orientated. Or they could be the shark. They'll eat you alive to get their goals and they're totally unsympathetic at times. Now, of course, these are extremities. Not everybody's to that extent. We call them dysfunctional reds. So the ones who are really, really ultra red, we call them dysfunctional. And their geometric shape would be a triangle because they like to get straight to the point. Now, the red wants to be in control. So if you're dealing with somebody who's a red and you're not a red, they want to be in control. What's going to happen, guys, if you are a red and you're dealing with a red? You like to be in control because you're a red. You're dealing with a red who likes to be in control. But knowing this and understanding this means that you can go, okay, I like to be in control, but I'm talking to another red. Therefore, I'm going to hand over a bit of that control, knowing that to get this person on side or to have this person really listen to me, I need to allow them some control as well. Because if they see you as competition in regards to being the most in control, they may not want to partner with you. They may not want to work with you. So the reds really want you to be blunt and to the point. So once again, if you're offering information to them, don't waffle, don't give them too much stuff, just give them enough so that they can check it out and go, yes, that sounds good, I'm in. Their speciality is being in charge, and they become depressed when they have no control or no appreciation. So when writing to them, be brief and direct, make your points quickly, And when on the phone, make your point, give opinions, and then move on. So they're motivated by being number one, being the best and winning. So when the Reds achieve and rank up in this business, that's what really motivates them. So I've got enough blue in me that, I love the fun side of it, but I've also got enough red in me that I like to win as well. I like to get and rank up and, be seen as a leader. That's something that really excites me as well. So save a red time. So if you can save them time by giving them the link or by giving them the information, then they're going to appreciate that because they don't want to be wasting time looking for stuff. And their motto is it's my way or the highway. So ship up or ship out. So that is the red. Who has identified themselves with having some red? So let me know if you've identified red in yourself, or now that I've gone through blue red, do you see yourself as a blue red? Any other blue reds on there? So that is my duo. I am a blue red. Linda seeing herself as red. Yes. Awesome. Pam's got some red, blue, red mix so far. Some red, but I feel like I'm going to be a green. A blue, red, purple here. Yes, Jessica, that's me too. Now, there are some combinations that are natural combinations, and there are some combinations that are not natural combinations. So the blue, red is a natural combination. So when I've covered the 4 personality colors, I'll share with you the ones that are natural combinations and the ones that are not so natural. So now we're up to the green. How cool is it that I've got all the coloured scarves? I've got a green scarf as well. Okay, so the greens. Now, FYI, I have about this much green in me, which is not much at all. So the greens, their pattern of behaviour is self-contained and direct. They love tasks and facts. Their pace is slow and systematic. Now, they're more left-brained, and that's why they're so analytical. Now, the blue and the reds are both 15% of the population, and the greens are 35%. So there's actually more than twice the amount of greens as there are the blues and the reds, which is interesting, right? So there's a lot more people out there who love the detail. Now, maybe not as much detail as Naturopath Nathan, who is an absolute green, but he also is red, but he is predominantly green. Now, their strengths are they're very deep and thoughtful. So they can be really kind, considerate people. They're very thoughtful people. They're deep thinkers. They're very analytical. They're very serious and purposeful. And a lot of greens or melancholies can be really talented and creative, like artistic or musical. And they can be sensitive to others, and sometimes even to the point where they can be self-sacrificing. And they are conscientious and idealistic as well, which is a good thing, right? Now, their weaknesses are they remember all the negatives. So they'll remember something that you said or did last week, last month, last year, 10 years ago, right? They're the ones that hold on to everything. They hold on to the grudges. They remember everything. They can be moody and depressed. They can sometimes have low self-image. They don't necessarily feel good about themselves. They can also be a bit self-centered and also hard to please because they're such perfectionists. They love everything to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, then they're hard on themselves and they're hard on other people as well. So their strengths are they're very schedule-oriented. They're perfectionists with high standards. They're very detail conscious. They're orderly and organised, neat and tidy. They need to finish what they start. And they love charts and graphs and figures and lists. That is, who's seeing some green in themselves? A melancholy in the house. Good on you, Anne. There you go. And we need these people, right? We need these detailed, organised people. So their weaknesses is in the workplace or in business, they're not so much people-oriented. They can become depressed over their imperfections and others' imperfections. So if you have a green who is a partner, sometimes they can get depressed because of their own imperfections and also because of your imperfections, right? Because they need and want things to be perfect in their life everywhere, in their home. They'll usually be the ones who love a neat, tidy house. So they're hesitant to start project because they spend too much time planning. And we call this analysis paralysis. So sometimes when you are speaking to a real strong green in the business about the business, they will want to look at all the links, all the videos. They will want all the questions answered, all the signs. They will want to look at all of Nathan's videos. They will want to know the ins and outs of everything sometimes before they make a decision. So they're not quick decision makers. But if you are dealing with a green and you've identified they're a green, allow them that time and give them that information that they need to be able to make a decision. Because once they've done all the research, and then they're going to be all in, right? Because then they're happy that they've made a good decision. They have a deep need for approval, and they're hard to please sometimes, as I said, because their standards are often so high. Now, when it comes to friendships, they make friends quite cautiously. So if you have somebody in your life who is a friend who is a green, they have chosen you as a friend quite cautiously. So I guess be complimented that you are their friend, because they've really, been very cautious about taking you on into their lives. They're content to stay in the background. So these are not the people who will want to get up on stage and talk and be recognized. They'll be more the quiet achievers in the background. They avoid causing attention. So they will not be the ones in the corner at the party being loud and boisterous and telling the big story, but they'll be the one who's standing there politely listening, nodding, or even just in the background, right? So they don't need to be in the forefront. They don't need to be, really out there like the blues do. They are very faithful and devoted. So that could be as a partner, it could be as a child, or it could be they could be faithful and devoted to this business, right? Once they've just made the decision and they've done the research, then they're going to be very devoted to following through. They're really good at solving other people's problems. Sometimes the other people might not want them to solve the problems, but they're very good at it. And they can have really deep concern for other people, and they can be really moved to tears with compassion. So they're very compassionate people. Now, their weaknesses, if we're going to talk about weaknesses, is they can live through others. So sometimes they will just, be in the background, but they might live through what's happening to a blue, for example, in their lives. They'll live through someone else's experiences. They can be insecure socially and withdrawn and remote, but they can also be critical of other people. And sometimes they can hold back affection, and they can actually do this as a punishment. So if you are married to or in a relationship with a green, they can hold back affection as I'm cross with you, I'm mad with you, I'm annoyed with you. They can become easily depressed because others don't meet their expectations. Now, in summary, the greens like details, facts, analysing and figuring things out, being on time, being right and being accurate. Therefore, if you have a meeting with a green, what's going to be important? Be there early. Be there before they get there. If your appointment is at 10 o'clock, they're likely to get there at 5 to 10. You get there at 10 to 10. And if you're there before they get there, guess what? They're going to be very impressed. They love organisation and scheduling things. They love processes and systems and order and structure. But they dislike being wrong, and they really dislike being disorganised. They dislike obnoxious and pushy people. So they struggle with the reds who are the more kind of obnoxious and really pushy people, or they really dislike people who are not on time. They dislike people who are not precise and prepared, and they don't like spontaneity and surprises. So if you have a green in your life, they probably are not going to appreciate that surprise party that you're organising. So my husband, for example, is a red green, and he does not like surprises. Like I love, give me a surprise birthday party or give me a surprise something. I will love that. My husband, no, no, no. He would not like that at all. Now, occupations are accountants, engineers, mathematicians, statisticians, philosophers, professors, investors. They're excited by logic and reason. Their fears are about not being right. They strive for accuracy and precision. So once again, remember when you're dealing with somebody in the business, they love things to be accurate and precise. So if I was meeting with a green today and they asked me all those questions that Bessner did, and I didn't know the answers to them, they would not have been very impressed with me because I didn't care that I didn't know the answers, right? I've advanced in the company really well without needing to know all that detail, and I've done it without you needing that knowledge. But a green would struggle with that. How can you do that without knowing the ins and outs? So my son Nathan, he's so cute. He tries to explain the marketing plan to me, and I'm just like it's all going over my head. And he's right, Mum, you've got to and this and that, and then when that happens and that happens, and I'm listening to him, I'm trying to concentrate, but within 30 seconds it's all just gone. So I can't repeat it to the next person because it was just too much detail for me. I just don't take in all that detail. But he strives on all of that, detail and accuracy and precision. They can be slow and analytical. And if you're going to refer to them as an animal, it would be a wise owl or a fox, a cunning and calculating fox, or maybe even a giraffe who's a bit laid back and curious. And their geometric shape would be square because they like to stay within the parameters. So they want to be right. They want their specialities, planning, process systems. They become depressed when there is no order and life's a mess. When writing to them, be really precise and specific. And if you're on the phone to them, be businesslike and calm and precise. So is this helping guys with, business, like when you're meeting people for business or talking to people about business, getting to know what type of personality they are? And even if you haven't met somebody sometimes, you can actually get a feel for them fairly soon after meeting them. And sometimes Andrew and I actually have a bit of a chuckle because sometimes you can even see somebody in the distance and you can go, we call them a melly. They're a melly, a melancholy, or a green. They look like a green. They're dressed really kind of seriously. They've got the pens in the pocket, the shirt's tucked in. They look very neat and tidy and kind of not blingy, not out there, but just really precise. And, the men have got, all the different color pens and, they just look green, they just got that kind of look about them. So just in summary, again, guys, there are detailed processes and sophisticated systems, save them from being wrong and embarrassed. And their motto is documentation beats conversation. Therefore, can I see the facts, please? So they don't care about the conversation. Just show me the facts. Okay, next scarf. So we've done the blue, we've done the red, we've done the green, and I was very surprised I even had a yellow scarf. For anybody who knows me, I'm also a clothesaholic, so I have about 150 or so scarves. And so I was bound to have a plain one in each colour. A very powerful info, Lillian, that serves us well in this biz as it's a people biz. Absolutely. I always wanted to wear bodysuits neat and tidy. Absolutely. Okay, so let's get on to the beautiful yellows. Now, the yellows pattern of behavior is very open and direct. The yellows are those people that everybody just loves. They're just a really nice person. Everybody wants a yellow in their life. Their priority is relationships and communication. So they're all about families. They're all about relationships, but their pace is quite slow and relaxed. So if you are sharing the business with somebody who's very yellow, they might not make a quick decision. They might need to just think about it for a while, ponder on it for a while. And you might think they're not interested, whereas really they are, but they just don't make quick decisions like some of the others do. They're just a little bit more slow about making decisions. Now, their predominant brain hemisphere is right. The right brain, but they also do a good job of tapping into the left as well. And that's why they get on really well with other personalities, because they can kind of get on with everybody. They're those people who everybody likes a yellow. They're just a very pleasant person to know. And once again, they are about 35% of the population. So we had the blues at 15% roughly, the reds at 15%, the greens at 35%, and the yellows also at 35%. Now, their strengths are they, when it comes to emotion, they are low-key personality. So they don't really, they're not in your face, they're not demanding attention, they're just pretty low-key and easygoing, easy to get on with. They're easygoing and relaxed. They're indecisive and they avoid responsibilities sometimes. They can have a quiet will of iron and they can be stubborn. So a yellow can, hold things in and hold things in and hold things in. They've got this real, sense of being stubborn, but then all of a sudden they will absolutely, I'm on this is on the wrong page. So sorry, we're doing the strengths here. Calm, cool and collected, patient and well developed, well balanced. They can be quiet, but also very witty, which is really good because we like, a witty person. And they can also be sympathetic and kind. So really, sympathetic to people's causes, sympathetic to people's feelings, just sympathetic to, to what's happening with people. They're really great listeners. And they're non-threatening and they just love to help people. So they're a really beautiful person to have along. The yellow person will normally be either a yellow-green or a yellow-blue. So as you can imagine, the yellow-red do not go together. They are complete opposites. So they can either be the easygoing, passive, laid-back, detailed person, or they can be the laid back blue as well. Not out there maybe as the red blue, but they still love people, but they're just a little bit more low key than the blue reds. But the yellows and the blues are really the beautiful, lovely, loving, family orientated people. Once again, fantastic to have in your business, a yellow. So we've got some yellows here. Leanne's a yellow with a little green. Julie is a blue yellow. Anne is a yellow green. Fantastic, really good combinations. So when it comes to emotions, they can be very unenthusiastic and shy. So sometimes they will appear unenthusiastic to the eye because they don't show a lot of, facial expression of being excited, but they might still be really excited, right? But they may be just not showing it and they're also quite shy. So, and they can sometimes become fearful and worried about things. They can be real worriers. They can be indecisive and avoid responsibility. So once again, they could be the person that's like, oh, I don't know. What if it doesn't work? What if I don't like it? What if this? Like they can really sort of be indecisive. As I said before, though, they can have a quiet will of iron, really stubborn. I got my slides mixed up before. Apologies if you've heard this before. And they can have a bit of a tendency to be oversensitive and to take things personally. So just keep that in mind once again, if you've identified somebody as being a yellow, that they are very sensitive and they'll conform to the crowd as they don't want to rock the boat. So if we say, hey, who wants to go such and so, the yellow will go, oh, I'll go whatever you want. Or what do you want to eat? Oh, what are you eating? Or like they'll just go with the crowd. They'll just go with the consensus. They don't want to rock the boat, right? Now, when it comes to strengths in work, they're very competent and steady. So they'll just, get on with the job and get it done. They're very peaceful in agreement. So they're really pleasant to have around because they're not causing arguments. They're not, trying to rock the boat in any way. They're just very agreeable, even though they might not really agree, but they'll still be agreeable in that situation. They have really good administrative ability and they're really good at mediating problems and avoiding conflict. So these are really good people to have around when there's some sort of conflict, and it will predominantly be a red involved in the conflict, right? So the yellows are good to sort of keep the peace and to help people, calm down. They're non-threatening and they just love to help people, which is once again why yellows are really good in this business, because they love helping people. They love helping people to achieve their goals. They love helping people to do things and achieve things. And they're real team players as well. So the yellows will get out and play team, whereas the reds are like, I'm here to win. I haven't got time for playing team, but the yellows will really play team, right? Which is really nice. Now, when it comes to work weaknesses, they're perhaps not as goal-oriented as some of the other personality types, and they can lack self-motivation, and sometimes they can be a little bit hard to get moving. But one big thing and this is really important to understand in business, they really resent being pushed. So if you're talking to somebody you've identified as a yellow in the business, don't push them. Give them the information, allow them the time, give them the space. When would you like me to catch up with you again? Let's chat if you've got any questions. Don't try and push the yellow, because they might just say no because they're feeling pushed or pressured. They do not like that. They can be sometimes lazy and careless, or at least appear to be to others. I don't necessarily think they are lazy and careless, but they just can come across that way sometimes. And sometimes they'd rather watch things happen than make things happen. So when it comes to their strengths in friendships, they're really easy to get along with. They're really pleasant to be around. They're really enjoyable. They're inoffensive. They're really good listeners. So the yellows are great listeners. We blues and reds particularly, we need to remember 2 ears and 1 mouth. We need to be better listeners. We can certainly learn a lot from the yellows, who are really, really good listeners. And they can have a really dry sense of humour, which is good to have them around. They have a lot of friends, and they have a lot of compassion and concern. They like to help and likes to help and give to others. So they're very giving, thoughtful, considerate, and they're very loyal and dedicated. So if you've got a yellow partner, for example, they're very loyal and dedicated to their family and to their loved ones. Now, their weaknesses can be they can dampen enthusiasm because they're not motivated to get up and go, oh, no, I think I'll just stay home. No, I don't think I'll bother. Like they can just sort of not want to get up and do things. So we've got to kind of nudge them up sometimes a little bit. And sometimes they'll stay a little bit uninvolved, and they come across as not being exciting. They can also judge others and be sarcastic and teasing. And they like sometimes to resist change, so they don't want things to change. And sometimes it's easy for them to buy others' excuses, right? So in summary, the yellows like peace, love, and happiness. They love animals and harmony between nature and mankind. So the real kind of nature people often have yellow in them. They like volunteering for things. They like to help and to give to others, especially the needy. So they're really considerate and thoughtful people. And what they dislike are pushy, aggressive people and bullies. So sometimes the yellows and the reds can really clash, because the reds can come across quite aggressive and quite bully-like, and that really is not something that the yellow person, they will really shrink away from that. So if you are a red in business, a red personality, and you're dealing with a yellow personality, please remember that. Remember that they don't like that kind of pushy aggressiveness. They don't like confrontation or loud or obnoxious people. And they don't like being pushed around, even though this can happen quite a bit, because they can tend to be a bit more submissive than confrontational. And sometimes there is a threshold for the yellows where if pushed beyond it, they will snap. So they might put up with something, put up with something, put up with something, put up with something for days, hours, days, weeks, months, or years. And then all of a sudden they go, that's enough. And then they absolutely snap. And they'll, like, you go, where did that come from? And if you've got a yellow child, like, they can be like that too. They can be really peaceful and easygoing, and then all of a sudden they'll just snap, and you'll go, my gosh, where did that come from? Because they just hold a lot of stuff in, and then they hold it in and hold it in and hold it in until they can no longer hold it in. So the type of occupations for yellows are teachers, social workers, nurses, Peace Corps, diplomatics. They love tranquility, stability, harmony. They love family. They don't like sudden change, and they strive for acceptance of others. They want to please everybody. So if you've got a yellow in your business, allow them to be that person. Allow them to be the person who's trying to help everybody, because that's what they really love to do. Their decisions sometimes can be slow, because they like to seek advice from others. So they'll be the person who has to ask their partner or a friend or somebody, oh, what do you think about this? Somebody just shared with me about this new fat loss thing, but I'm not sure. What do you think? And sometimes they can be swayed by those other people as well, by their decisions. Now, if you're looking at them from an animal's perspective, they can be like a koala, really soft and gentle, or a peaceful dove, or a turtle that's slow and avoids risks. And when it comes to shapes, the yellow can be like a circle because they like to surround and nurture. They want to be accepted. Their speciality is that they love to support, to be supportive of people. They become depressed when there's chaos and conflict or no peace. So from my perspective as a parenting strategist, if you've got a yellow phlegmatic child and mum and dad are arguing, or or there's a lot of noise going on, they will really shrink. That will not be something they become depressed, or they really do not feel good when there's a lot of chaos around them. So if you're writing to a yellow person, so if you're sending them a text message or a Facebook message, be sincere, be warm, and be friendly. And when on the phone to them, be patient. So just allow them the time to think, because sometimes the reds and the blues, we just talk so fast and think so fast, but the yellows sometimes need time to absorb what you've said. They're actually really listening to it and taking it in. So be patient with them, be pleasant, and be warm, and they will really appreciate that. So they're motivated by peace, by harmony, and togetherness. So these are the people who love the events, who love the socialization, because they love being around people and being together. Don't, save them conflict and risk if you can, if you've got a yellow in your team or in your family. And their motto is, let's all be friends and work together as a team so we can be one big happy family. So who identified themselves as a yellow? Pop in the chat box now. I'd love to see what color combination have you allocated for yourself. So if you had to just pick two, which two have you identified? Anne is yellow green. That's a good combination. Vesna is all blue. Jody, blue yellow. It's another nice combination. Red blue, that's me as well. Astrid, husband green, blue yellow. Yellow for sure, maybe some green. Purple, yes, red, green. I'm seeing green, red, and yellow. I can't decide. That's an interesting one, Naomi, because if you are seeing both red and yellow in you as well, like you can have a little bit of everything, but sometimes your dominant personality type is being overtaken by what we call a mask. And that mask could have come from childhood. For example, you could have been a peaceful yellow, but you had a really domineering red parent. So yeah, sometimes things that happen in childhood can actually confuse who you are as a person. I think red, blue, but I missed the blue. So the blue is the bright, bubbly, out there, outgoing person. Yellow, green with some red. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so just to conclude here, I'm going to tell a little story. So just imagine this scenario. Consider 4 people all in a mass guillotine, right? Not a very good thing to imagine, but remember, just imagine the executioner pulls the release rope, but the blade descends, but it jams just before cutting off their heads. Phew, right? So this is what the 4 personalities are going to say. It's a bit of a funny thing. It's a bit of a funny way to describe it. So the blue, the sanguine, is going to leap up and go, yeah, fantastic, let's party. It didn't work. I'm keeping my head. Yay, yay, yay. Party time. The red, the choleric, is going to leap up and race to the execution and scream, I'm going to sue you. You didn't get it right, despite the fact that they've saved their head, right? The melancholy, the green, is going to examine the structure and say to the executioner, now look here, that's the problem. If you just tap the side here and fix this and that'll fix the problem. And then the yellow or the phlegmatic's going to approach the executioner and shake their hand and saying, I realise there's nothing personal here. You're just doing your job. Why don't you come home to my place for dinner? Right. So that's how the 4 different personality types would deal with that situation. And let's hope that we don't ever have to be in that situation. So as I've said, the normal healthy patterns, and this is according to, if you want to do more research on this, it's Florence Littauer. Kirsten, if you want to write that in the chat for us, Florence Littauer, she's got a book called Personality Plus. It's been around forever. Like Kirsten and I were both at a training that she did in another network marketing company we were in probably 20, 25 years ago, and she came and trained at our company. Yeah, so Florence Littauer, Personality Plus. Write that down if you don't know of that book. I'm sure you can get it online. And you can also, if you Google Florence Littauer or Personality Plus test, there's actually a test that you can download and do to actually find out which personality trait you are. So tonight I really went more through just, the basic things, but you can actually do a test and sit down. I would recommend you do it with somebody else who knows you well, because sometimes we see ourselves differently than other people see us as well. So yeah, so let me now tell you what the common combinations are, or what Florence calls the normal healthy ones. So we've got our blue reds, which are a really common personality type. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a blue red, but blue reds are really good in this industry because they've got the people skills, but they've also got the motivation and the get up to go. So the blue reds are a really good combination. Then we've got the red greens. So the red greens are super detailed. They like everything to be right. They get stuff done. And they, once again, are very good in this business, especially if they're not dysfunctional red or dysfunctional green. Oh, thank you, Kirsten. Awesome. So they're a good combination. And then you've got your yellow blues, which are a beautiful, the people, the real people are the blue yellows, right? And then you've got your yellow greens, who are the quiet achievers, the peaceful people, but they also love the detail, right? So we've got our yellow greens. So one of these will possibly be your dominant and the other will be your secondary. Now, if you feel like your combination is not one of those, maybe you need to do the test and just dig a little bit deeper. But it's really good. Who's identified what their partner is? If you've got a partner, who's identified what their children are? Who's identified what their people in their team are, or their best friends are? Really good to understand people in your life. So as I shared with you, the unnatural combinations are the sanguine or the blue-green or the red-yellow. And either of these combinations are considered what Florence Littauer calls a personality mask. So they are inevitably the result of outside forces working in our life to make us conform to someone else's concept of who we should be. And as I said to Naomi before, sometimes that can come from childhood, when our parents try and make us something we're not. So if we're that quiet little yellow, phlegmatic personality, but our parents want us to be up and strong and out there, and that's not our natural thing, then we can end up wearing a mask. Or it could also be put on in childhood to survive in a difficult or dysfunctional family situation. So I'm going to stop sharing. I hope you all enjoyed that, everybody. And thank you it was meant to be done in 60 minutes. It took me a little bit longer. Who was that new for? Who had not heard about the personalities before? So most of you knew a little bit about it already. Who maybe listened to it this time and got a different perspective, saw themselves in a different light? Who has identified that they can maybe now understand their partner a little bit more, or one of their kids a bit more, or somebody in their business before better? And who thinks it will be helpful now moving forward when you're approaching people in the business to understand what their personality trait is, especially if it's very different from your own, that we can approach people in a different way and with even different information for different people sometimes. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Feel free to unmute if you have a question or if you've got a comment you'd like to share, if what you learned, or just share what your personality is. If anybody would like to unmute, feel free to. Where are those blues? Where are those people who love getting out there and sharing? The blues will be keen to get on and say, yeah, I'll share, I'll share. The yellows will be sitting back going, oh no, I'm too shy. I don't want to get out there and share. And the greens will be saying, no, I don't have enough information to get out there in confidence and share yet. But the blues and the reds are the ones who usually will jump out and take that opportunity to share.
I think too, Lillian, that as we get to know our strengths ourselves and then we get to understand the different personality profiles, it really makes us, because I noted in the chat before that you kind of become a chameleon when you're dealing in business.
Yeah,
And then you can just empathize more with who you're speaking to.
yeah,
Because myself, I'm more the red blue type
yeah,
personality.
yeah.
And if you come and have to give me all the fluff, you'll see my eyes just glaze over. You lose me. So you got to go bang, 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 bang. However, when I've got someone who's a bit more phlegmatic, yellow, or even green, I've just got to bring myself back into their way of thinking. So it's been a very powerful training that we've both done back in the 90s. It's scary to think that. And and yeah, so it is something that get to know yourself, because when you get to know yourself really well and what your triggers are when you're talking to others, you don't then take it personally the way that they are, I guess, reflecting back to you their personality. So yeah, it is a really good skill to work on as you go through, especially in this business.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any other comments? Who's going to think differently now when they're talking to different people? Like you're going to really think, is this a red personality? Is this more of a green? It's a really, really, really good tool to have both for your personal relationships, you're in your home, but also in business. It's really, really helpful to have. Because I'm very sanguine, I'm very blue. Sometimes I have to remember that, oh, calm down a little bit, Lillian, because not everybody loves that, big personality. And sometimes you can read the body language, can't you, if you're being too much? You've just got to think, as Kirsten said, you've got to become that chameleon and calm yourself down a little bit. Awesome. No more comments? No? Everybody's good? Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining this evening. I had fun sharing that with you, and please, I'm so sorry about the very ancient PowerPoint, but hopefully it served well enough just the same. And I was going to spruce it up a little bit, but just didn't have time. So if you're listening into the replay, we would also love to hear what you came up with as far as your colours go. And remember this in business, so identify who you are. And if you're still not quite sure, copy that link that Kirsten's added in there, or just go and Google and find that personality test. And what I suggest you do is do it with somebody that knows you well, because they will help you to navigate the ones that, oh, am I this or am I that? Because sometimes people see you with a different lens than you see yourself. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll do some different trainings, ongoing business trainings, compensation plan trainings. Do you think Lillian's going to be doing a compensation plan training?
No.
No, she's not. But she can get her son Nathan, who's learning the compensation plan really well. And Terry, those of us who have listened to Terry, he's really good at the compensation plan. Terry is a red green. So, I identified that pretty quickly. Well, I remember him saying he was a red, but he's also a green because he likes all the detail as well. So we might get Nathan on one night to share his wisdom on learning the compensation plan. That could be good, because it is important for us to understand this stuff, even if it's not our strength in the business. So yeah, we'll keep coming up with topics to share. If there's something that you'd like a training on, just let us know. And remember, for those people who are platinum and above, we've got the meetings tomorrow, one at 8 a.m. and one at 12 p.m. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in this evening. And until next time, take care, and we'll talk to you next time.